We first noticed Asher was having difficulties with learning when he was about 5. We ended up having him privately tested, and of course it came back that he was dyslexic. It was super overwhelming. There was just list and list of all these programs. So we started talking to people and felt like everybody was just saying something different. I hired the lady that had tested him. She tutored him for a year, one-on-one, 4 days a week. She came to me and was like, it's not working. Thankfully, she had met Dr. Conway. She just highly suggested the Morris Center. From there, my husband and I got in touch with the Morris Center, and Dr. Conway spoke with us over the phone, and you could just really tell his expertise in dyslexia.
Enroll your child or teenager at themorriscenter.com, or for virtual sessions, visit nowprograms.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions, from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey friends, and welcome. Well, today we are going to talk about inspiring kids to succeed. And I hope you've enjoyed this Inspire series that I've been doing the last few weeks. I also have Inspire Kids to Listen, Learn, and Cooperate. And those are separate podcasts you can find on the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network, or look at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com for more information. I also want to give a shout out and thanks to the Now programs. That's nowprograms.com. This is evidence-based program that helps students with learning differences. You can visit their website for more information. Well, today's focus is inspiring kids to succeed. Have you read articles about kids writing novels, setting records, or doing extraordinary things such as collecting blankets for the disadvantaged, or maybe starting a food bank? Well, how do kids excel without their parents nagging them to do better? And I mean, for most of us, it's hard enough to get them to brush their teeth every night. I looked at these situations and recently read an article about successful teens. What stood out to me was one story about a teen whose laptop fell out of his backpack and it broke. He talked about how he decided to start a lemonade stand and earn money to repurchase his laptop. This is stunning. He didn't run home and say to his parents, "Hey, I broke my computer, it was an accident." Well, maybe he did, and his parents gave him an alternative, earning money for the purchase. But the story related that not only was he able to earn enough money to replace the laptop, but he donated extra money to a charity his mother runs. This makes me think of the saying, lead by example. We're often proud of our family, no matter what they accomplish, yet we want our kids to be the best they can be based on their ability. I see many highly talented children who are complacent, uncaring, and really bored with life. Why is this? What is the difference between the child who solves problems or starts cottage industries and the child who would rather do the least they can, even if they're more talented? I found this in my own life. Over the course of my career, I've written or co-authored a total of 19 books. And this doesn't include the 48-plus planners offered on the mediaangels.com website. Yet I have friends who are so much more talented than I am. One wrote one book, and the other suddenly died several years ago without writing the book she had planned for years. I think success stems from deciding to do it and just doing it. Whether you're the most talented or not, if you have that passion, you should go for it. In a few minutes, I'm going to list 10 points to review with your children. But if you're an adult who has always wanted to write a book or host a podcast, do it. If it's a homeschool or Christian-based topic, reach out to me, as I'm always looking for new podcasters to join our network. I'd like to challenge you, and you in turn challenge your children. Of course, we all want the best for our children, and while we can argue that success is relative, in other words, what you consider successful may not be the same as what I consider success, we can agree that when we read stories of amazing teens, we wonder what motivated them, what influenced these teens to tackle these projects, and what influence do they have from parents or other role models. How do you cultivate successful traits in your teens? Can you help your children set themselves up for long-term success? How can you help your children thrive in a world that keeps changing? The basics to this is really giving kids an opportunity to succeed. If you've scheduled your child's life to the max, or your own life for that matter, it's difficult to give your child time to think. This is a pet peeve of mine, and if you're a long-time listener, you're probably thinking, here she goes again. And I've actually created podcasts on the topic of giving kids time to think. But I am passionate about this. If you give your child opportunities that are unplugged, without a computer or cell phone or a device, as I call them, any kind of tablet, and just give them time to think and explore without the noise of outside bombarding them. It really is amazing what types of opportunities will crop up. Giving kids time to think is important, as well as giving them the opportunities. Often we jump in to fill the gaps, or we make things right. Just in the case of the laptop that broke, a parent might say, well, we have a warranty on that, or we'll pay to have it replaced since it was an accident. Yet overcoming adversity is the key to success, the ability to be flexible, to be creative, and to make a contribution. Building good habits is another way to teach your child responsibility. Having routines, having chores they are expected to complete, and having items your children are responsible for, whether that's laundry or keeping to a schedule. Good habits come out of routines and allowing your child to have more time, as well as teach time management. Which brings me to time management. My husband came up with the brilliant idea of putting a time allowance next to each subject on my child's weekly checkoff list. And so each child would have a checkoff list of the subjects that we were studying that semester or that quarter. And I complained to my husband that it was taking them way too long to finish math or writing or whatever the other assignment was that I gave them. And we would do things together as a group, but then they would break off and do things on their own, independently. And he said, well, just put a time limit on there. And I thought, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? So having a time frame gave the children a start and finish time, even if it wasn't perfectly adhered to. For example, the kids had 45 minutes to finish a math lesson. If they were done in 30, great. They had some free time. If it took them 60 minutes, then they weren't able to do whatever the next thing we had planned was. And you have to have some buffer in there. But this helped them with time management, and often my daughter would get up early to complete her math assignment before she came down for breakfast because she wanted to get the hardest subject over first. This also opened her time for writing in the afternoon, and she was my co-author in the Truth Seekers Mystery Series, which you can look at over at mediaangels.com. And I've also put a link to the interview that we did some time ago. She completed the last book when she was a freshman in college. Having an opportunity is another factor and encourage your child to succeed. My daughter had the opportunity to write and mentorship because her mom, me, was an author already. But while it ensured a publishing contract, it didn't ensure success. Having the opportunity does open doors, but having the drive and the vision is what brings a person to the finish line. And as an aside, her books outsold mine the first time we brought them to convention, so that was really exciting for her. But even so, she was my co-author, and only received a percentage of the sales. So that taught her responsibility. Another way to open up a child's horizons is through field trips. Many of us parents are unapologetically cautious about who or what we expose our impressionable children to, and rightly so. But field trips are opportunities that we can give our children to experience things they might not otherwise have, and it opens a door for mentorship in high school. After a field trip to a farm, my middle child, who was always fascinated with machinery and tools, was talking to me about them. If there was road construction, he'd ask me to pull over so he could watch. Our subdivision suffered when a major access road was plotted directly through some of the houses and a popular Christian church parking lot. But my son had the first-hand experience and opportunity of watching this church be cut in half and taken to the other lot that was given to them further in on the land that was in our subdivision, and then put back together. And he was just so fascinated by that. And it was on a curve, so there really wasn't any good place to park and look. But once they had a parking lot, we would park our cars and let him watch as the heavy machinery was working. And so for his birthday one year, we rented a loader and allowed him to spread out dirt that had been delivered to our acreage. He loved it. He tried his hand at mechanics and visited several of our friends' shops, but while talented, it didn't interest him as a job. As he said, "I'll always be greasy if I'm a mechanic." But through the years, he's bought, sold, and repaired everything from small generators and power tools to larger construction equipment, until he started a business called Strike Rentals. He rents construction equipment and trailers he has acquired through the years. Having the opportunity to seize on is helpful when you have a hands-on child. All we did as parents was encourage him and give him space to succeed. Understanding the basics of success is really helpful. Successful kids, teens, young adults, or adults all share some common traits. For example, ambition, self-awareness, motivation, overcoming setbacks, determination, time management, strength of character, flexibility, responsibility, maturity, and self-fulfillment. I came up with a list that you can copy. It's in the show notes on Vintage Homeschool Moms. You can go to Inspire Kids to Succeed, episode 536, on the vintagehomeschoolmoms.com page. First, your child probably needs an idea or some kind of vision that they have for something that they would like to accomplish. If they don't, this list may be a bit premature. You can talk to your children and say, is there anything that you've ever wanted to do and just haven't thought you had the time to do it? And then you can give them this list. You can take a look at it, and the topics are, I'm not going to read the whole list to you, but the topics are: number 1, ambition; number 2, motivation; number 3, setbacks; number 4, determination; number 5, time management; number 6, strength of character; number 7, ability to change; number 8, responsibility; number 9, maturity; and number 10, self-fulfillment. Look over these things and see how you can use this list, and by all means, tweak it to make it fit for your family. This may be helpful in helping your child to succeed and helping them, especially if they have a vision. Sometimes all they need is a framework to look at things. I know with myself, the main focus I had was on the passion I had for whatever it was I was going to teach. And the bottom line is giving your child an opportunity and encouraging them in their successes and failures, because we all have them. Allowing your children to make mistakes and to correct them on their own. The next podcast in the series is inspiring your child to empathize, and the importance of this cannot be overemphasized. We live in a hurting world, but empathy has a twofold purpose, and I'm going to reveal that in the next episode. Take care, everyone. God bless, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.